안녕하십니까? 미안하지만 제가 한국말 못해요. 그래서 영어말 하겠어요. I'm going to speak about what may happen between it now and the singularity era that we've been hearing about. I'm going to look at 3 different scenarios that may happen over the next 25 years between now and 2042. I'm going to look at how human flourishing might progress over this period. And if we look at the past, broadly speaking, history has seen greater human flourishing. On the whole, people are healthier, people have more prosperity. And the question is, what's happening next? And people who don't think very much about the future tend to assume that the future will be basically the same as the past. Perhaps things might improve a bit faster. Some people think the speed may slow down. Perhaps it might even go slightly backwards. I'm here today to say I think these scenarios are very unlikely. I would give them only about 10% probability of happening, because there are very powerful forces being generated by the 4th Industrial Revolution, by the automation that you've seen the other speakers covering. And these forces are going to be too powerful for society to stay in its present form. And what may happen, in fact, sadly, is they might cause a collapse of society, a collapse in the well-being of the environment, a humanitarian collapse, if we are not careful, if we are foolish, if we are short-sighted. But if we are wise enough and agile enough and strong enough, we could instead get to a much better scenario, the scenario of sustainable abundance for everybody. And I'm pretty optimistic. I think there's about a 60% chance that this wonderful future will be ahead of us. I think humans are ingenious, thoughtful, compassionate, capable, but we are also capable sometimes of doing terrible things, which is why there's quite a high possibility of this new dark age scenario as well. And what I'm going to cover in the next 17 minutes is how we can make it more likely we're going to get this positive future instead of the negative future. The biggest driver for change is technology. Technology is changing the world more than any other force. It comes from people understanding and applying the scientific method in an open society and with positive feedback cycles to accelerate technological change. But the outcome of technology isn't just determined by technology, it depends on our human response. Whether we put laws in place, legislation, to try and slow down or sometimes prohibit some dangerous technologies, or technologies we think might be dangerous. The outcome also depends on the subsidies we put in place, the incentives to try and encourage some technologies to be developed faster. It depends upon the skills which we train people and the services that exist in society to help people take advantage of new technologies without lots of training. Most of all, the response depends on our values, the ideas which we bring of what we think is possible and what we think should happen. There are 2 problems with human response to technology. Often, it's out of date. Often, our governments, our systems of legislation, our values depend on previous types of technology. And they are often controlled by people from previous industries. That's the first problem. The second problem is if our understanding of new technology is limited and naive and incomplete. And both these problems, by the way, are magnified as the pace of change increases. And that's what lies ahead. We've already seen in history an acceleration of change, as shown in the slides by Jose Cordero, with the increase of the speed in which economies double. In the first industrial revolution, there was steam-based machinery, which was built by simple tools, but then the machinery built better tools, which built better machinery, which built better tools, and so forth. Positive feedback. In the third industrial revolution, we had simple computers to start with, and then we used computers to help us design and manufacture other kinds of machines, including better computers. So one generation of computers enabled the next generation of computers to be better. It's the same with software. The world is now dominated by software. As Brad Templeton said, if your company does not excel in software, you will go out of business. Software is created by human software engineers, but also by software tools, which these human engineers use. So one generation of software enables an improvement in the next generation of software. And now in the fourth industrial revolution, we are seeing more and more AI, artificial intelligence, which is built by human artificial intelligence engineers, increasingly with help from AI tools. And I'll give you some examples. Recently, in the Technology Review, it explained how AI algorithms are starting to teach humans AI algorithms, so that automating machine learning makes this new technology more accessible to non-AI experts. Even more significant, this is from Google's DeepMind subsidiary, the same company that produced AlphaGo, and this might be even more significant than AlphaGo. This is software called AutoML, Auto Machine Learning, which is summarized in Wired by saying that Google's learning software learns to write learning software. Google's researchers have taught machine learning software to build machine learning software, which in some instances is more powerful and efficient than the best system the human researchers themselves can design. There's the positive feedback accelerating. So the big picture of technological change is as follows. We have more people in the world than ever before. And that's not bad news because of more mouths to feed. It's good news because there are more brains coming up with more solutions. In fact, we have people educated to higher levels than ever before, networked together better than before, so that ideas can spread around the world and be improved more quickly. So people create more tools and therefore create more technology. And this cycle continues. Better technology improves the networks, better Wi-Fi, better tools for connectivity. Education also gets better. There's more YouTube videos with interactive features, more massive online open courses, as you'll hear about in session 6 tomorrow afternoon. So that's why today we have more scientists active at the higher levels than ever before, more engineers building products, more entrepreneurs designing companies around these products, designers who are emphasizing the human aspects of technology, more educators, more artificial intelligence, more deep learning, which is why technology is accelerating and why there'll be more disruption from technology, either good disruption or bad disruption. And there's yet more. It's not just there's more people, more educated and more skilled, there's more motivation for people to develop new technologies, such as artificial intelligence. When I was young, people studied artificial intelligence out of intellectual curiosity or for scientific research. Today, people are putting huge amounts of effort into developing artificial intelligence because the companies that do this well will earn huge financial rewards. That's why there should be even faster progress. So people who do financial trading want to get better artificial intelligence to help them do more accurate and more quick stock trading. It's the same in the games industry, with customer support, with interaction design, and in the healthcare industry. The more that healthcare industry can use artificial intelligence to design the next blockbuster drug more quickly, they will earn huge profits. And by the way, it will be good for humans as well. There's artificial intelligence and creativity that you'll hear about in session 2. There will soon be artificial intelligence which will be creating patents in science and engineering. And then there are arms races between the hackers who want to get into our systems and with the anti-malware vendors who want to stop the malware getting in. The big competition there, each using AI, and there's even AI in real-world weapons. So to summarize so far, we have this very powerful engine of technological change, which, as the previous speakers emphasized, allow us to enhance humans more dramatically than any previous time in history. We can become much smarter because of these systems. We can become much healthier, and we can live much longer, perhaps even as long as we want. We could become immortal. We can have more experiences, more opportunities. We can have a sustainable abundance if we use this well. But at the same time, and this is what I'm going to talk about in the second half of my talk, there are disturbing consequences of this technology. As we use more energy, emit more greenhouse gases, we are making the climate much worse. There's an acceleration of positive feedback there of the wrong kind. We are putting more technology in the hands of terrorists who can do more terrible things. We are putting technology at the hands of governments and big corporations who can spy on us as never before, manipulate us and control us in ways that's probably not good for us. And there is growth in inequality as well. In short, there are lots of existential risks. Yes, this technology can benefit individuals remarkably, but equally, this technology can disrupt society. As I said at the beginning, some people think, well, not much will change. Technology is going to slow down. But as I've explained, I think that's a very low probability because there are so many wonderful things just ahead of us if we hurry up and develop this technology. But also, there are risks of things going wrong, unintentionally wrong. Let's look at an example. I want to compare two sets of 3 companies. I want to compare the 3 largest companies in Detroit, America, motor car companies in 1990, with the 3 largest companies in Silicon Valley, IT companies, in 2014. The two sets of 3 companies had almost the same revenues, adjusted for inflation. Which had the most employees? There were more than 1 million employees of these 3 motor car companies, many fewer employees in the Silicon Valley companies. And in terms of the public valuation of these companies, the Detroit companies were valued at $36 billion. The Silicon Valley companies were valued 30 times higher, with 10 times fewer employees. This shows that the companies who are the winners in this new age, they will do very well. But those who are not the winners, those who are working for other industries, they may lose their jobs because of displacement by robots, or if they keep their jobs, they will earn less money. This has been tracked by lots of statistics. This shows the average for the G20 countries. It shows that the labor force is more and more productive, but the average take-home salary, the salary of the average person, has hardly improved. In some countries, it's more extreme than others. In America, it's the most extreme. You can see there's been very little change in real term in the average family take-home pay since the 1970s. And what does this do to people when they see they are being left behind? They get disappointed, they get frustrated, they feel alienated, they become unwell. Here are some statistics about how likely it is that you will die in the next year of your life at a particular age. This shows early middle-aged people between the age of 45 and 54. It shows that in America, these people are becoming more likely to die. Instead of living longer, they are living shorter lives. And what's the cause of this? In part, it's bad diet, but when you look more closely at the figures, it's people who are depressed. People who take too many drugs and become addicted to drugs and die with drug overdoses or die from alcohol problems. Increasingly, people commit suicide. They find their life is not worth living. They feel they are missing out. And what do people do when they feel they are missing out? Sometimes they take it out on themselves. Sometimes they are nasty to their family and friends and neighbors. Sometimes they get angry with the world. Sometimes they run off and join an extreme religious terrorist movement. Sometimes they vote foolishly for a populist politician who promises lots of things but can't deliver it. Sometimes they just decide to die in a blaze of glory in which they are angry. Like in this case, sadly, a few years ago, in which a German co-pilot of an airplane had health problems. He set the autopilot of the plane to crash at great speed into a mountain, and all 150 people on board were killed. And it might get worse. There's something called Moore's Law of mad scientists, as said by the American writer Eliezer Yudkowsky. You've heard about Moore's Law in this presentation already. Every 18 months, computer power gets roughly twice as capable. Well, every 18 months, roughly, the IQ necessary for somebody who is angry and upset to destroy the world drops by 1 point, approximately. The possibility of people doing damage locally or in larger parts of the world also increases, whether by access to nuclear weapons or access to biological weapons, access to cyber terrorism, and we're seeing a lot of this, or access to social media in which people stir up feelings of hatred and animosity. So we're seeing all these things. Unless we tackle the feeling of resentment and alienation, unless we make sure that we look after society well, we risk society collapsing. So to summarize, to make it more likely we'll have that positive future, we have to do the following. We have to make it clear to people what can actually happen with the positive, profound application of these technologies from the fourth industrial revolution. We have to make it clear to everybody that they can all benefit, with nobody being left behind from the positive transformation of our human nature, in which our bodies are improved, our minds are improved, and society is improved. And to show that nobody is left behind, we have to make democracy really work, in which the best insights of the whole community are listened and acted on and elevated, rather than the loudest voices or the richest voices or the most powerful press barons getting their ways. And if we do this, we will have a proper conversation about which technologies are the ones to accelerate and which are the ones to slow down. In this way, we can change to having smart regulations, not heavyweight, cumbersome, outdated regulations, but agile, nimble regulations powered by new technology. And we will get not just NBIC, nanotech, biotech, infotech, and cognitech, we will get the social technologies right as well. This is my final slide. I would love to spend more time talking to you about all the wonderful things we can get from nanotech, biotech, infotech, and cognitech. These are the stories, if we get it right, of the next 20 years, including the abolition of aging, enhanced pets, stem cell therapies, mind suspension with cryonics, and so forth. And we could talk about the planetary technologies which are enabled by all these things, including drones and automated driving and so forth. But as I said, the most important technologies are the ones at the middle there, with social technologies, including finance, including accounting, including data storage, laws, markets, regulations. These are all technologies in their own right. We'll be talking about the first two of these, by the way, finance and ledgers, new currencies, new systems of keeping track with things like blockchain. That's in session 4 tomorrow morning. But more generally, we have to get the social technology right. If we are lazy about this or thoughtless about this, we will end up in a bad singularity. But if we get these technologies right, the future of humanity will be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.